could just repeat what is event handling?
Yeah, Tami. Event is basically invoking the method to which it is pointing to, and the action that is performed is called as the handler.
Okay.
It's done by
Are you okay, Ramya?
Yeah, I'm good actually.
So event is some action which is performed by event raiser or event issuer class or the publisher class, and on that action what will happen, that will be decided in the event handler class with the method which we call the event handler. So we'll see an example of event handling. Okay. Now here you can see we have event issuer class, which is event raiser class. From this class, the event will be raised. Okay. Or the event delegate will be invoked. How we define an event in C# is, first we will have to define a delegate. Okay. Because event is a delegate. Right. So public delegate keyword, delegate name. And generally for event, it is not compulsory, but for an event there are two input parameters. One is event issuer, or that is basically sender. Who is the sender? Who is raising the event? Sender, object, and then the event arguments. If some arguments are being passed when the event occurs. Okay. So two input parameters are there. Now then you have to declare an event for the delegate. So to do this, we have event keyword in C#. So event keyword, delegate name, and then this is the event name. So tick is an event, and tick handler, this is a delegate. What happened? Okay. Now this is event issuer class. So in this class, the event or the delegate will be invoked. Okay. So in ASP.NET or in any project where you have GUI is graphical user interface. So the event will be invoked when you click on a button, when you press key or whatever. So on the graphical user interface, if you are doing something, the event will be invoked. But here in the console application, we don't have this graphical user interface. So just for the demonstration, what I'm doing is I am writing a method. In this method, I am calling this event. Okay, tick. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting the executor in sleep mode for some amount of time, and then I'm checking if the event is not null, then I'm calling the event. Okay, while calling the event, I am passing the sender and the event arguments. Okay, so for now, just for the explanation, I am not passing actually any event arguments, but I am just using null instead of it. Okay, so while true, so this is a infinite loop, there is no condition. Okay, so it will run for forever basically. Okay, so in every 3000 seconds you will see the event will be invoked. Why I am doing is because I don't have GUI in the console application. That is why I am doing it. Now this is event issuer class. It is raising tick event. Okay. Now there is event listener class. Event listener class will write an event handler which is going to respond to the tick event. So this is the event handler method. Okay. So event handler method also you can see event issuer, the sender and the event arguments are there. And this is the method. This method is going to handle the event, tick event. Okay. But how this will be, how this issuer class will notify to listener class then this event has been raised, because the listener class is subscribing to this event. Okay, how it is subscribing to this event is with this line of code. So M, which is event issuer object dot tick equal to, you can see how you use the delegate and method reference. Okay, so the same way tick handler is the delegate and this is the method reference. So tick handler is event issuer class. Okay, so you are basically making this delegate tick handler hold the reference of method headed. Okay, so what is happening is when this tick will be invoked, this delegate will be invoked, then this method will be executed. Now in other class, I am first calling the subscribe method of the listener class so that this code will be executed and the event will be associated with the event handler. This is the association. So in this line of code, the event is associated with this event handler. Okay. So first of all, I am doing this and then I am calling start so that the event will be executed. Okay. Is this code clear, guys? If I run it, you will say I am not touching anything, but in every 3000 seconds or maybe milliseconds, I don't know. So the start method is being called, which is invoking the event, and ultimately the method, hardit method is being called. Okay, so event is getting invoked in every 3000 seconds or 3000 milliseconds, I guess it is. Milliseconds, it is milliseconds. Is it clear? Anyone, any doubt, any question? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So is this clear? Or are you finding it difficult?
It's clear only, but do you have
why
some
don't we
other
use
example? Can you give me one more example or?
Okay. Yeah, who is this?
Shobana.
Shobana. Okay. So Shobana, what we are going to do is the ASP.NET, whatever programs we are going to write are basically based on this model, event-driven model.
Yeah.
Okay. So all you are going to do is event-driven programming only.
Okay.
Okay. So in the first class itself, we'll start with this event handling in ASP.NET. So all the code, whatever you will write in ASP.NET will be event handling, will be in the form of event handling.
Okay, fine.
With this code, you have any doubt? So basically there are 4 steps. One is you have to declare your event. One is you have to declare your delegate. Okay, with the delegate you have to declare your event. Then in the listener class you have to associate your event with the event handler. Okay, other things will be when the event will be invoked, it depends on the program. Okay, these are the 4 basic steps, nothing else. Shall we move on?
Yes.
This all we have discussed about event handling yesterday. Okay, so next is indexers. Indexers in C Sharp. Anyone familiar with indexer? What is it? Jamya, have you used it? Indexer? Kasturi?
Yes, Tanvi.
Okay. I think you are not feeling well.
Basically, I'm having a sore throat, so otherwise I'm just
Yeah.
maybe I may not be able to explain it even better, but maybe I can write down the answers through chat. So
Yeah,
just
sure. Okay,
thanks.
no problem. So we'll start with the indexer. So what indexer is, it is like array. So in C Sharp, you have array. What you do with array is, you traverse through the items in the array. So you have 5 items in the array. So you traverse through those 5 items through index. So index 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now indexer is giving a flexibility so that we can index an object of any class. We can index instance of any class. So if I have class A, okay, I create obj of class A, object of class A. So I can do something like this: obj 0, obj 1, obj 2. Okay, so this we have not done so far, but this is what we can achieve through indexer. So we are basically able to index our object like an array. Okay, so it is used for treating an object as an array. There is a name that we call them smart arrays also. How to define indexer in C Sharp is quite similar to how we define properties. Remember properties: public, return, name of the property, get and set. Okay, it is very similar to that. Indexer is also a member of a class, like a method is a member of the class, a property is a member of the class. So it is enabling an object to be indexed like array. Okay. Okay, this is another thing. Indexer in C Sharp, it must have at least one parameter. Okay, we'll see why. When we'll see the usage, we'll understand why. This is the syntax, how we define an indexer. So modifier, return type, and this. In a class, you don't give the name of the indexer, it will be always this. Okay, and then the argument list, at least one parameter is needed, then the get block, and then the set block. Now see this program. I have a class test indexer, some class is there. In this class, this is address, an array of string type. Okay. Now what is this? This is an indexer. I want to treat the object of this class like an array. I want to index the object of this class. So what I'm doing is I'm writing here the indexer. Now return type is a string, this, and I want to index them using the integer type like 0, 1, 2, 3. You can index them with the keys also, string type, but here I'm doing it with the integer. So in the get you can see return address at that index. And in the set, setting the value of the address in that index. Now another class, create the object of this class. Okay. Now you can see how I am treating this object as like an array. So object at 0 index, store something. So it will, when I am writing this line of code, it is using the set block of the indexer, and it is assigning Mumbai to 0th position. Okay, in this address. then 1, it will again access the set and so on. Now when I'm printing it, this time it is accessing the get block, okay, and it is returning the address at that index. Okay, so now you can see we can make object also like an array. Are you getting it, guys? You can see I am storing something and returning it through the indexing of objects. Okay. Other things are exactly same. If you are writing method, you can still call the method like tc dot method name. You are writing any property, you can call the property. Okay. Tell me any question here. Can we have more than one indexer in a class? Can I write more than one indexer? Shobana?
Hello.
Anyone can answer.
I think no.
No? Okay, why?
Because we are when we are declaring it, we use this.
Right.
So it's actually referenced by the class name and not the object.
So you say because it doesn't have name, it is this keyword, so
it refers
we cannot.
to the class.
Yeah. Okay. It refers to the class. So this is here for the current object which is being executed. It's not for the class. Yeah, Kasturi.
For the different data type we can have, I think.
Yeah, we can use indexer. We can use multiple indexer, but we will have different input arguments, right?
Yes.
So multiple indexer, we call them the overloaded instructor. That is possible. Want to say an example of overloaded instructor? Okay, wait. Okay, now look at this program. Now in this program, if you will see, instead of one collection, I have two collections here. One is hash table. Hash table is quite similar to dictionary, key and value pair. So one is hash table and another one is generic list. Okay. So one indexer you can see is this, which has input as integer. Okay. Because list is integer based. Okay. List indexing we do with the integer. So in this, what we are doing is returning from this. So return obj at this index, set obj index and value. Okay, whatever will be passed with the object. Now to initialize in this address, I have another indexer which has the input as a string. Okay, which is like key. So what it is doing in the return, it is returning from that key. In the set, it is setting at that key. Okay. Now here I am creating the object of this class, which we can index now. How we can index now? With the TC0, 1, 2. So now see, first what I'm doing is I am adding in this collection, in the list. Okay, one, anything, any object type. It is an object type, so anything you can add. Okay. Now through the other object TC1, I am adding in this hash table. Okay. How we can add in the hash table? Like dictionary. So key and the value, key and the value, key and the value, key value pair. Okay. Now see, I am printing TC0, TC1, TC2, indexing them and printing. Indexing through index. This is indexing using key. Okay. So when I do this, it will print all this 1, ABC, 1.5, 22, 13. When I'm doing indexing using keys, it will print Worli, Mumbai, India. Okay. So basically you can index your object of a class and you can use integer index or you can use keys. Are you getting it, guys? Is it clear? Okay. So we'll move on. Next is enumerators. Okay. Now, yesterday we covered some collections like array list, stack, queue. And if you guys remember, to traverse through those collections, we could use for each loop. Okay. Why we could use for each loop? Because those collections are using these concepts of enumerators. Okay. Now, if we have some user-defined collections, let's say I have person collection in which I am adding person object. Person object, each person object has ID and name. In the collection, I am adding multiple person object, person 1, person 2, person 3. If you want to traverse through this user-defined collection, now persons is user-defined collection. Okay. Can you use for each loop here? Will it be possible? It won't be possible to use for each loop on the user-defined collections until we write enumerators. Okay. And for the inbuilt collections, we are able to use for each loop because they are actually writing enumerators. Okay. Now we'll go in detail with what enumerator is and what it is actually doing so that we can use for each loop. So enumerators are objects which can be used to move through an ordered list of items. Means collection. Collection is what? Ordered list of items. Okay. One at a time. So in the persons class, first we will have access to person 1 object. Next we will have access to person 2 object one at a time. Okay. This is what we want to achieve. So we will have to write enumerators. There are two important interfaces for writing enumerators. One is IEnumerator, another one is IEnumerable. Whenever you are writing enumerators, you will have to implement both. Both of these interfaces have to be implemented. Okay. The class which is implementing IEnumerator, that class itself is enumerator. That is a class which is enumerator. Okay. And in that class, what we will have one property which is current. Okay. Current property which will point to the current position on the list. So I have a list. Let's say I have a stack in which I have obj1, obj2. If I am here, this is the current. Okay. So current is the property which gives access to the current position. There are some methods. One is move next. Move next, it is actually moving to the next item. It is actually checking that do you have the next item or not. It is a bool type. Okay. Now we have method reset, which will set your pointer to the starting position. Okay. Which is always -1. just before starting the loop. Now these three methods are, all these things are available in the interface enumerable. So we have to implement when we are implementing this interface in a case. Because if a class is implementing the interface, it has to define all the methods which are there declared. Okay. Now another method is getEnumerator method, which is there in the IEnumerable interface, and this method also has to be defined. What this method does is returns the object of IEnumerator type. Okay. These interfaces are available in the generic version also. Okay. So this is your choice, whatever you want to use. Now this is the usage. For each is for built-in type. For built-in collection, we can use for each loop. And enumerators we have to write so that we can use for each for our own user-defined collection. For each statement can be used to iterate through an IEnumerable or an IEnumerator instance. So if a class is implementing these interface, then on that class you can make use of for each loop. We are able to use for each on array list because underneath it is implementing IEnumerable and IEnumerator. Okay, now we'll see how to implement or how to use enumerators. So first, implement the interface IEnumerable. How to implement an interface is :IEnumerable. Now when you implement it, you have to implement this method also. So you will have to write getEnumerator method in your user-defined class, and this method will return the object of IEnumerator interface. Then as you are implementing IEnumerator also, you will have to define these three functions: reset, current, and move next. Where will you define? In your user-defined collection or user-defined class. Okay, now I will explain with the example. Are you guys able to hear me? Okay. Oh, 1 second, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Tanvi.
Okay. So yeah, we were here on the enumerator program. So now there is a class employee in which we have ID, name, salary. This is like a normal class which you write. Here in the constructor, I am initializing these properties. Okay, and this will be passed while we create the object of this class. Okay. Now I want to create a collection in which I will keep different employee objects. So basically collection of employees. Okay. So now you can see this class which this class one second, I'm not copying properly. This is employee class which has been copied. Okay. After that, employees collection. Okay. Now here I am writing a collection employees. What I want to do here is I want to add object of employee class, the previous class which we have already created. I want to tab this out. Okay. Now in this class, this is the user defined collection basically. So we want to traverse through this employees collection using the for each loop. So what's doing is I'm implementing these two interfaces, IEnumerable and IEnumerator. Okay. Now here I have array list object which is employee list. Now in any collection generally what methods you have? Add, remove, sort and all. Okay. This is a user defined collection. Just for the demonstration I am writing only one method, add employee. Okay. So add employee method is taking the employee object. Okay. Employee is this class object and adding it to the employee list which is an array list. Okay. So far is this clear? So far the code is clear? Okay, I'll move on. Now, as we are implementing IEnumerable interface, so there is a method declared getEnumerator. So as it is declared there, now we have to define it here. So this is a method definition of getEnumerator. Okay, it returns the object of IEnumerator. Okay, so whatever is currently executed object, it is converted into the IEnumerator type. Okay, so we are implementing getEnumerator method here. Then in the IEnumerator, we have method move next, we have method reset and a property current. So we have to implement all these things. So move next, I am implementing this method move next. So what it is doing is if the array is not empty basically, so it is incrementing the position and returning true. So it is actually moving to the next position and it is returning true, means it is able to move. There is the next item available. Okay, else return false. Okay, otherwise the array list is completely traversed. There is no more items, so return false. If position is less than till the length of the array list. Okay. Now reset method is nothing but putting our pointer to the beginning. So reset is position equal to -1. Okay. And current is property which is returning the item from the current position. Current is returning the employee at this position from this list. Okay, so we have implemented all these methods as well. Guys, are you getting it? Any question here? Anita, Shubha? Yeah,
here,
go ahead.
Question. Like move next, they have move yes or it's only these three functions or we can have more?
You can have more functions. Those will be specific to your collection. So in a collection, if you want to write remove method, you can write remove method. whatever. This is a user-defined collection. Whatever method you want, you can write. These methods are specific so that we can use for each loop on this collection.
Okay, so these are from the enumerator interface. So it's already just defined there. So we need to
declared, yes.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so we have to define it here.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how the execution happens, see now main method, what I'm doing, this is the collection object, employees, okay, EMP list, this is another object. Now in this object, what I want to add is, in this collection, what I want to add is different employees, okay, every employee object I want to add. So I'm creating two employee objects, E1, E2. These two E1, E2 I want to add in this employees collection. Okay, so in the employees collection, what function I have? I have written add employee function here, right? So I'm using add employee function. It is adding E1 and E2 here. Okay, now you can see I can use for each loop on this user defined collection. So EMP list is what? User defined collection, employees. It is of type employees. Okay, you remember guys when you used list, so it was of type, list collection was of list type, array list. Now here this is employees type. Okay, list collection was of class list type. Dictionary was of dictionary type. It is employees type, it is user defined. It is not already defined. Now I can use for each loop on this collection. So each item in this collection is employee type. Okay, so I can traverse through the user defined collection using for each loop. You can see it here. So what's actually happening is, let me just comment it out for each. When we write enumerator or when we make this class employees as enumerator, what it does, this is what is happening underneath in this for each. When I am using for each loop, this is what is happening here. What it does, it will first call the get enumerator method, okay, and will get the object which is of type enumerator. Now it will first call the reset method and will be at the beginning, okay. Then while loop, okay, it will call the move next method, okay. So until move, yes. Anyone wants to ask something? So this enumerator, through this enumerator we are calling move next method. Okay, so move next method is moving to the next item and returning true if there is another item to move on. Okay, so when it is false, we will come out of the loop. And in this loop, we are returning the object from the current position. Okay, so with this line of code also you can see that we are able to traverse through the collection. Okay, we can traverse through the object 1, employee object 1, E1 and E2. But we don't have to write this line of code. Once enumerator is implemented, you don't have to write all this. You can just use for each loop. Okay, this we don't have to write. That is why we are writing enumerators and making our job easier in collection. Whoever use your collection, don't have to worry about all these things, can just use for each to traverse through the collection. Getting it, guys? Shall I move on? Okay. Now the next is iterator. Now, as we can see, we are finding it difficult. Every one of you also, I know, finding it difficult to write enumerators. It is difficult. So the alternate is, instead of enumerator, we are writing iterator. The concept is same. The same concept, there will be move next, all these methods. But the only thing what we will achieve when we are writing iterator, C# will do it more automatic for us. So these methods which we are implementing now, current, move next, all these methods will be automatically generated. Okay, we don't have to write them. So it will make our job easier. So iterator is to allow the easy implementation of enumerator. So again, the iterator is a method that also enable for each iteration on a class, user-defined class or structure, but this time without having to implement the entire enumerable interface. So we don't have to implement these move next, current, all these properties and methods. Okay, so we'll see how we can write iterators. Okay, iterator, the entire concept of iterator is depending on one statement, which is a yield return statement. Iterator code underneath uses the same concept what enumerator has. But for us, it is kind of wrapper and we have to just use this statement yield return. Underneath it is using the same concept. So what underneath it is doing, like it is at the current position, then fetching the item from the current position, moving next, okay, and until there is an item to move on. Okay, this is what this entire statement is doing. So it is saving the current position, and again when the execution is restarted, it is getting the item from the next position. Okay, every time it is saving the current position. So entire thing what we were doing now, it is being done by the yield return statement. There is yield break also. If you want to just end your iteration, you can use yield break. I will come to these later. Multiple iterators will see. Okay. Return type of an iterator must be enumerable or enumerator or the generic version of them. So for each loop relies on enumerator pattern in C#. Okay. So when we are actually using for each loop on some collection, underneath this is what is happening. Okay. So for each is making enumerator iterating easy, but it is itself is difficult to write. The code writing for enumerator is difficult. So we can use iterator. This is how we write iterator. So this is the class in which we have the iterator. You can see the return type is enumerator, get enumerator, for whatever you want to traverse, yield return I. Okay, so when we are writing this statement, it is doing everything underneath. Okay, so it is first going here, returning, and then increment, and again next time it is going to the incremented position. Okay, it is saving the current position. What I can show you, I can the same code which we have written here, I will just instead of doing all this, we will just implement it using iterate this time. Same what I'm using. So now I'm not implementing this interface. Okay. As I am not implementing this interface, I am even removing these methods. And properties implementation. This I want in the collection add employee. I'm removing from here till here. Okay. Let it just become a normal class. Not even enumerable. Okay, now you can see the for each. For each statement cannot operate on variable of type employees because employees does not contain a public definition for get enumerator. Okay, so this is user defined collection and I'm not able to use for each because I have not implemented the enumerator here. Okay, and there is basically no definition for the get enumerator method. Now inherit to write iterator. Now I am writing iterator instead of the enumerator. I just copy paste it. Syntax. I'm adding the get enumerator function here. I0. Okay, I want to traverse through this. Array list. Okay, count. Return I. Okay, you can see now. So how simple it is now with the help of iterator. So this also you can remove. Okay, so instead of implementing the entire Enumerator interface and all these methods, what we are using is only Enumerable interface and use the getEnumerator method, which is returning Enumerator, and in this you traverse and use the yield return statement. Okay, it will do the same job underneath, which we were doing before. Is it clear? Getting it, guys? So I would say if you are not able to understand 100% of these concepts because they may be difficult for you. So if you are able to understand 50%, 60%, it is good enough. Okay. We don't have to use all these hardcore concepts in ASP.NET. Eventually, when will you work with ASP.NET, you will be automatically comfortable with all these. And you cannot write a program right now. You cannot use Iterator. But if you understand the concept, what is Iterator and how we can use it, even if you don't remember the syntax, it's good enough. Knowing the concept is important. Syntax will come anyway. Okay, guys, shall we move on? Okay. Now, yeah, this line we left. So multiple iterators in a class, we can have multiple iterators also. If you want to iterate in some other way, let's say you want to iterate alternate way. Okay, get a first element, then get a third element, then get fifth element. It is your choice how you are writing your collection. So basically, in the same class, you want to let others traverse in different ways. One is the common way which we do, one after another. One is like alternate way. So you can write multiple iterators also basically in a class. Okay. So in a class, the regular iterator does not have a name. It will be a get implementation of the getEnumerator method. But the more iterators, if you are writing, then they will have some name, unique name. Okay, they will be also the member of the class. And how you can use them in a for each, if you don't have a name of the iterator, which is the default getEnumerator method, so you don't use anything. But if you have multiple iterators, then you use the class name dot the iterator name. Okay, so you can have multiple iterators possible in a class. What is it? Can you hear me now? Okay. I don't know what happened here. What should I do now? Okay, so you can see multiple iterators. So you are giving name to the iterator. Okay, this is a single iterator, that is why, but if you have multiple iterators, then you will have to use here. Oh, that's fine. So this is a multiple iterator. You are adding name to it, and there will be a basic get enumerator method. And then how will you use it is name of the class where you are implementing the iterator, and then the name of the iterator. Okay. From in the iterator, you can have multiple yield return statements also. For example, instead of returning from a loop, I am just writing yield return, yield return, yield return. So first time it will return this, second time it will return this, third time it will return this. So multiple yield return statement are possible. Let's do an example of what's happening here. I don't know, some system is okay. Here is an example of multiple iterators in a same class. So if you look at this, this is a single iterator. So this is, you know how to write a single iterator. So I am implementing Enumerator class. One second. And there is a string. There is an array of string. Now in this enumerator, what we are returning is each item from that array. Okay. Here I am using for each loop on this collection. This is collection. This is the object of this collection, and I am able to use for each because the iterator has been implemented here. So you can see here we are able to use for each here. This is the same which we just did. We converted the enumerator to iterator. If we focus on two iterators, if we have multiple iterators in a class. Okay. Now you can see here. Yeah, in this class, my class, in this class we have two iterators. One is this, the default one which we write, another one which has the name. Okay, if you are writing multiple iterators, then you will have to write a name. Okay, now here, this is a list, array of integers. So what I am doing is I am traversing through each item, and in this another iterator, I am traversing but in a reverse way. So you can see index is starting from 4, it is up to 0, and how we are updating the index is decrementing it and returning the item from that index. So there are two iterators returned in my class. Okay. Now in this class, this is the object of the class. Now I am using for each and one for each, which is this. It is the normal iterator, which is the enumerator method implementation. Okay, so it will return the elements in the 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 like this. And when I am using the reverse, the second iterator, see the second iterator I have to use with the name of the iterator. Okay, so this for each will return it in the reverse order. So the idea is you can have multiple iterators in a single class, which will give you the flexibility to iterate in different ways also. Generally, we don't use multiple iterators, but as it is there, so I'm just explaining it. Is it clear, guys? Any question, anyone? Shobana, Rupa? Ravikant, are you guys getting it? Okay. So guys, we are actually done with advanced C#, C# 2.0 concepts. 3.0 and 4.0 is left, which we will cover with the ASP.NET. So now we will begin with ASP.NET. Okay, and I think we have 1 hour left, so we'll begin today only. So before starting something, I will just create a sample program in ASP.NET and will be just familiar with the terms and the concepts, okay, and how the program run in the ASP.NET. So you will need Visual Studio or Visual Web Developer for it, for writing ASP.NET program. So you can install it. You just close this C# and we'll write a sample program in Web Developer. No, my USB port is not actually working. Yeah. So this is Visual Web Developer, Access Edition I have. Now what you can do is to create a new project or website. We can do this new website. ASP.NET empty website and ASP.NET website. When you click on ASP.NET website, some files will be by default added. So we'll choose this ASP.NET empty website so that we will know how to add files as well. You can save it on the path where you want. Now this is a solution explorer in which it will list all the files which are in the project which you are creating. This is the project which you have created. First step is the name of the project. Now in ASP.NET, in a project, what do you generally have are multiple pages, right? In any application, web application, if you see on the web, those are different pages: home page, about page, contact page. So different pages are there. Okay. So to add a new page, what we do, add new item, select web form. Our pages in ASP.NET, there is a term, we call them web form. Okay. So basically, it is a form. We will generally use form on the application. We generally use form on the application, and it is it runs over on the web. You can name it. Let's say let's say login. Login.asp. Generally, this is login is the first page for any application. So I'm just adding login page. Okay. Now on the login page, in any ASPX page, there are two views: design view, on which you can see or you can design your form. Okay. And source view is underneath HTML or underneath code of that form. Now here you can see this page, we call it directive. Okay, directive is, this is the page directive because this is a page, web page or web form. This holds the information about this page. So it is holding the information. What information? The language which is being used is C#, auto event wire up is true. So whenever I will show you what is auto event wire up. Code file is, for each page there is this is the file where you design GUI, and code file is where you write a code, server side code, which will run on the server. So code file is login.aspx.cs. So you can see we have login.aspx.cs file. Okay, and this is the default code which is automatically added in this file. Okay, what else on this page is inherits login. Okay, so basically this page ASPX is inheriting from this class login. whatever name you give for your page, that will become automatically the name of the class. Okay. Now this is the doc type HTML. If you guys are familiar with the HTML, you know this doc type we write, so that what HTML rules you are following. So here, this is following XHTML 1.0 version. Okay. So whatever HTML is there is XHTML 1.2. Okay. Then on any HTML page, you have head. In the head, what you have generally the title of the page. So let's say I am providing title login page or login form. Okay. This is the title of the page. Then body. Within the body, you have the GUI. Now here we want to design a form. So we have a form element. Okay. Each element in HTML will have unique ID. So this has the unique ID and run at server. What this run at server does, whatever attribute has, whatever element has run at server, it will be accessible in code behind file through the ID. Okay. For example, on the page load, I want to do something with the form. So you can see form 1, it comes in the IntelliSense, form 1 dot visible, let's say false. Okay. That means this form 1 you are able to access in the code behind because it has this run at equal to server. Are you getting me, guys? Is there any question so far?
No.
Okay. Now I'm just removing this. On this page, what I'm doing, I'm just adding some interface to the page. So initially I will do in the design, later on I will use this source view. So I'm adding one text box for the user ID, one for the password, and one for the login button, the login button. Again a text box and a button. Now the convention is the text box IDs always give a sensible ID, okay, so that you are able to use it in the code behind. You should not be confused in the code behind. If you will keep text box 1, text box 2, you will be confused while writing code here. Text box 1, you will not remember what was it supposed to be, what was the text box 1, okay. It is here in our login form, it is user ID. So I'm naming it. So for text box, you should name it TXT, capital, the first alphabet, and whatever the name suits. Okay. Then let's say TXT password. Button starts with BTN, small BTN, login. Okay. It is not compulsory, but we should follow it. Okay. Now I am just adding a break. Break is the HTML element which will add a line break. Okay. So after text box, line break, and then you have button. You can add labels also. You can just directly write here. I am directly writing it here. User ID. It will be converted into the span HTML element. Password. Adding label is a better way, even though. Okay. Now this is the design of the form. Okay. So user ID, text box, password, text box, and a button. Okay. Now generally on application, what do we do is we want to send our data on the server for the processing, right? We submit the form, then it goes to the server and whatever processing server wants to do. In our case, login server will check from the database that this user ID password combination matches or not, right? Or if you are registering on a website, on register button, what it will do, it will send your information, whatever you have written, name, ID, email, phone, on a database. Okay. So generally you will see in the application there will be buttons, and the most of the event which occurs on an application is the button click event. There are other events as well. Okay. Now Okay, one more thing, guys. Okay, I will explain it later. Okay. So now to generate a button click event. Okay, now you know the concept of button click event. Sorry, event. Some action occurs and there will be handler to perform based on the what the action has occurred. Okay, so some code will be executed on the occurrence of the event. Okay, so now here in ASP.NET, now it is very automatic. Now how we wrote a program in C#. So one class was raising the event, other class was generating the event. Handling the event. So here what I'm doing is I just double click here on the button. Okay. Now here you can see button login click. Now it looks similar to the event handler which we just used in C#. So object type sender, who is the sender, and event arguments. This is basically the event raiser class. Okay. And now guys, can you tell me what is text box here? What is button here? Just you can correlate it with C# and tell me what is text box and what is button here.
Text box to get the input from the user.
Okay. Can you just explain in the object-oriented way what is a text box and what is a button?
It's like to hold the value of some variables.
To hold the value of some variable. Okay. Anyone else? Anita, what a text box and button is here?
Actually, it's an object.
It's an object.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So text box is not an object actually. So what is, whenever I am writing this text box is a class. Okay. And button is also a class. Okay. Now when you create multiple text boxes, so txt user ID, this is one object of text box class. Are you getting it, guys? txt password, this is another object of the same text box class. When I have this btn login, it is an object of but class. I can create as many objects as I want. Okay, so I can drag 3-4 more text boxes. That will be, I'm creating more objects of text box class. If I'm dragging more buttons, it is creating more objects of the button class. Okay. How this text box class and the button class is available here? Because we are inheriting this, our class is automatically, we are not writing this code, it comes automatically, but it is inheriting from system.web.ui.page. Okay, and in this page, these classes are actually not in the page, it is defined here, system.web.ui. In this namespace, the text box and the button and all these control related classes are defined. Okay, so we can make use of them here. Are you getting it? Is it clear? Okay. Ravikant, are you getting it?
Yes, Tanvi.
Okay. Now, generally on the login, what we will do, we will match our credentials from the database. Now, so far we don't know database, how to use a database. So I'm just doing hard coding. I will just write a code where if the user ID is user ID is admin and the password is admin, then the successful login, otherwise it is these are the wrong credentials basically. So the code, what language we are using? C#. Okay, so everyone knows now C# basic, at least everyone knows, even though you may not be very comfortable with the advanced, but basic C#, all we need here, which everyone knows. Now see, if txt user ID, okay, text equal to okay. Now guys, please answer, what is this capital text? What is this capital text, TEXT? Ravikant, can you think what is this text?
It takes it in the character format.
It takes.
The
Okay, that is another point. I am saying if this is
Property.
the object property.
It's a property.
property. Okay.
Yeah, very true, right? So how we created properties in C#. Okay. Now here we are not creating this property. This property is available in which class? Text box class, right? And here what we are doing is we are using it. The usage. How do you use a property? By the object name, right? So txt user ID, when we drag the text box, we created that object, okay? And we are using the text property, okay? So I just wanted to write this code. If text user ID dot text equal to admin and password is also admin. Admin. Okay. So now what I want to do here is double equal to, guys, because I am comparing here. So if this is the case, I just want to print some string. So here what we do, response dot write guys, I'm bad in spelling, so there may be some spelling errors. Else wrong user ID also. Okay. Now run this program. You can see start debugging. Press F5 or click on this green button. When you are writing a program for the first time, or when you are writing an application here for the first time, so it will ask you to modify the web.config file so that you can enable debugging. We will say yes, we want to enable debugging. Okay. Now you don't have to host your application to test this. It will be automatically hosted on the development server. Now you can see login.aspx page request has been sent. And the server has responded in this way. Okay. Is this the way server has responded? Am I right? Server has responded in HTML actually. This interpretation is done by my browser Chrome. Okay. Server has sent the code like this. This is what has been got from server. Okay. And this what we can see is done by the browser. Now I type here admin, click on the button. Okay, successful login. Try something wrong, click on the button, wrong user ID and password. Any queries you guys have here? Text of the button. This is a text property I am setting here. Login. Okay, so that I will see now the login on the button. Okay, any questions so far? Shobna, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have any problem? I was seeing actually you left, you arrived.
Yeah, actually it got automatically it got shut down and again I have restarted.
Okay. Okay. Anyone, any question here?
I have a question, but I don't know if that is relevant or not. But if you go back to that source,
Source here.
in the namespace, not this one. Sorry.
Okay, the code behind source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Code behind. So in the names, we were inheriting the system.web.ui.page. Like, do we? How does that page come in? Because the page is something which we need to give as part of this thing, or it comes.
No, it's a class.
It's a
This
class.
is a class defined in this namespace.
Okay.
Page is inbuilt class. Even though our forms also we call page, but this is a different. This is a page class,
Okay.
which is defined here in this namespace.
Okay.
Okay, so we are inheriting this class because we may want to work with page objects. There are page objects we may want to work with. You can see page load. this is an event which will be executed when your page load, and this
Okay.
event is here.
Okay. Okay. Got you.
Okay. Now, what I'm doing is we will debug this code, because we will, whenever we are writing program, we will need debugging. Debugging is if you have some errors, you don't know what is happening, so to check for errors. Okay. So how to debug the code? Let's say I want to debug this this method and this method. Basically, these two are event handlers. Okay. Now here, what gray area you can see, just left click here. Okay. Or right click on the method, and there is breakpoint and insert breakpoint. Okay. So what we are doing is we are inserting breakpoints. Okay. When you insert breakpoints, while execution, it will, your control will halt here on the breakpoints. Okay. I am executing again. Okay, now see, the page is being, the first thing is page load is being executed. Can you see yellow, the highlighted one? Okay, so this is the first thing being executed in the program, page load. Okay, we are not doing anything in the page load. Now, to go line by line, you have to press F10. Again F10. Okay, now you can see the interface. So after page load, this interface comes. So this is clear. After page load, we can see this interface. Now, I write something here, click on login. I have put breakpoint on the login as well. Now you will see it will again come on the page load. Okay, we'll see why. See, again after I click on login, it should actually come on login, but it is coming to page load. Then it will come to login now. Okay. Now here you can basically check for your code what you are doing. Now here I want to check what is the text in the user ID. It is AA. What is the password in the password? It is AAA. Then it goes to the L. So entire flow you can see. This is what we debugging. Okay. So we came to know, we may, when we are writing code, we may want this. We don't know why this is wrong, why this is coming wrong, user ID, password. So we can see, oh, it is going in the if or it is going in the else. That is how we can check. Are you guys getting it? Okay. Now this debugging is possible. You can debug your code if the web.config. Now web.config specify which mode your application will run in. There are many settings in the web.config. The first setting which we are using is this, debug true. Okay, when you got that modify, you want to modify web.config file, at the first time this thing did changed debug from false to true. Okay, so when it is true you can debug, otherwise you cannot debug. Okay, so when we are in development we should make this debug as true, because that is what we will help in our development. But when we are going to deploy our application, okay, finally we are done with the development, our application is ready, we are just want to deploy it on the server, that time we should make it false. Why? Because it is attaching a debugger process with the program. Okay, that is, the debugger process is actually running and it is debugging the program. So it will be unnecessary load on the server if you make it true, because on the server once it is deployed you don't need debugging. Okay, so there are many things in the web.config which will come. Eventually we will see all these settings. So in the database class we will see what is database related setting in the web.config file. In the authentication class we will see what is the authentication related setting in the web.config file. So there will be many things which will be coming now. Okay, so are you guys feeling comfortable writing program here in this Visual Web Developer or Visual Studio? Will you be able to write a program here in Visual Web Express? Ravikant, what do you think? Will you be able to write?
As of now, no, yes.
Yeah, I think it is quite simpler than C#, right? Yeah. Okay. Now I'm just wondering what else I should explain before starting with the ASP.NET, which we will definitely need. Okay, another thing you can notice here, this thing, on click equal to button login click. This is what our event association with the event handler. So click is the event, on click is the event raiser method. So in this on click event raiser method, how we initiated our event in the start method, right? In the start we initiated tick event. Okay, this click event is associated with this button class, or basically with this button logic button, and this is how the wiring is happening. This click, when click will be invoked, this method will be called, or this event handler will be called. So this is what is happening, event handler association. We can write the same C# code also here to associate the event with the event handler, which we will see later. For now, we will use this way of association. Okay. And guys, just give me a minute, I'll be back. Now guys, I'm back. Okay, now we'll start with the presentation ASP.NET. So first introduction, we have already done what .NET is, what .NET framework is, what CLR is, what ASP.NET is. Now here we will see when we are executing this program. Now there is many things. One is this page is being executed. So before the page, the application is being loaded. So all these things now we will do. So this class will be a little bit more theoretical. Then after that, all the classes will be more practical. Okay, so this is what we are going to cover. What is virtual directory? Again. My pen stopped working. not working. Anyway. Okay, so what we are going to discuss is what is virtual directory, what is ASP.NET event model. So whatever we are going to do is basically you will see most of the code you are writing in events. Now we wrote a code on the button click event. So most of the code will be in the events. It is the event driven model. So we'll see what event is, what event model in ASP.NET is. Then in the application we are creating pages. So what is the page lifecycle? What is the entire application lifecycle? How to compile code and the page class. Okay, this is what we are going to discuss. Now this virtual directory is, it actually comes in picture when we are going to deploy the application, but as it is there, I'm explaining it. So on the server, when you are deploying your code on the server, what you will need is to create a virtual directory on the server. The server is IIS. This is what we have to install. To install this, what you have to do is go to control panel and there is program, where is the programs? In the control panel, yeah, program and features. Guys, 1 second actually. It is it's a new machine actually, and I don't know which. It is Windows 7. Okay. 1 second. It is IIS comes as basically program component. Do you guys know where is the component window in the Windows 7? Okay, it is here. Actually, this thing what is in XP, it is window component, it is features here. So in the features, you have to select this thing, Internet Information Services, and it will install the features. Okay. You have to basically select it. If it does not install, then you may have to put your operating system CD to install it. If the program is already not there for the IIS. Okay. Now, how to create virtual directory in IIS? Okay, it is not installed in this machine also. Guys, I will also have to install it because on this machine I generally don't do development. I just conduct training from here. It may take time, guys. We'll just leave it today, virtual directory, and we'll cover it tomorrow. Okay, let it install, then I will explain what is virtual directory and how to create virtual directory. Okay, we'll begin with the event model. What is event model? So in C# we covered event handler and event. Here in ASP.NET, now it is not a console application, it is GUI. So what we can do, user's action on the GUI. So user click on a button, user type something in the text box, user change something from the selection box, sorry, the drop down list. So all these will be event. Okay. Now in our program we saw page load. Right now just now we wrote a program and you see page load there. Page load is event handler. Okay. So it decides what action will be performed when the page is being loaded. So load is event and page load is event handler. So when event is raised, the handler for that specific event is executed. So when I type something in the URL in the browser and it will be loaded. So that is another action. So on that action, page load is being executed. Okay, we saw it here also. I think we didn't install it. Yeah, the IIS is also installed. Okay, we'll do it now later on. Okay, so here this page load is an event. So when the page will be loaded, then this event will be executed. We'll see in detail what the page load event is. Now in ASP.NET, you will see most of the events are following the specific method signature. Okay, so event handlers are always void. They don't return anything. First of all, the return type is void. And two input arguments you will always see object, which is basically sender, and event arguments. If any argument has been passed while invoking the event. Okay, so protected page load is an event in ASP.NET. Now ASP.NET event system, how it is different from Windows event system? Can anybody answer how the ASP.NET event system is different from Windows? Windows is our Windows application event system. Are you guys here? Are you guys following me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. Triggered at the client side and processed at the server. Okay. So Ramya says triggered at the client side and processed at the server. Yes. In Windows application, so basically there are two processors involved. Okay. So we have to, the client is invoking the event. So it is triggering at client side and it will be transmitted to the server, and then on the server it will be handled. So there are two processors involved. One is on the client side, another one is on the server side. And we need a transmission process also. We are sending process from client, sending event or transmitting event from client to the server. Okay. So in the Windows application, events are raised and handled on the same processor, while in the ASP.NET, events are raised on the client and transmitted and then handled on the server. Okay, this is what the difference is. This is a, let's say this is a Windows application. So event will be raised and handled on the same processor, and here event will be raised. When client click on the button, it will be transmitted to the server handle it, and then the response will be sent back to the client. Okay, guys, in this this is the button login click. Okay, so can anyone answer which class is the event handler class? Which is the event handler class here for the click event? Anita, which is the event handler class here?
BTN login, button login, sorry, button class.
That is the button class is the event handler. Okay, which is the event raiser class?
No, sorry. Event raiser is a button login actually. Button.
Button class. Okay.
Yeah,
An event handler.
button is raising the event.
Button class is raising event, and which class is handling the event?
Page.
Page class. No. Anyone else? Which is the event handler class here for the click button? This is very simple, guys. Very simple.
Page load.
Login.
Page load is an event.
Oh.
The login class handling that event.
Login class. Yeah, very simple. So event handler, this is within this class login. So this is the event handler class for this click button. Page load is an event. This is another event, Ravikant. Button login click is one event. This is another event. These two are event handlers, different event handlers. Okay. So this login click event, where it is in the button class. We are not writing that button class. It is already written class. Okay. And the click event is already declared there. We are writing a class which is just handling that event. We are not raising the event. It is being raised by the button class, and this login class, which is a user defined class, because we have written this class, right? So this class is the event handler class for this click event. Okay. Is it clear, guys? I'm trying to make it work. And I think I have to restart the application. Okay. So far, any question? Any doubt? Okay, shall we move on? Okay. Now there is one thing which we will use very frequently, the term post-back. Okay. Anyone? Kasturi, what is post-back? Sending an application request to the server for processing. Okay. Sending an application request to the server for processing. No, that is not right, Ramya. That is a request, but
page, which is this is the ASP page. ASP page, say for example, like we need to check user ID and password against the database. Then we send in a request, and the user ID and password will be checked against the database, and that server processing is called as each server processing. It's called as a postback.
Okay. Yeah, you are right actually. Whenever we are executing our program, so what we do generally is, see this. First time what I'm doing is I request for login page. So is it also postback? This is a postback. I got this output from the server. This is not postback. This is a first time request. Okay, we call the opposite of postback is basically first time request. So this is the first time request we are sending to the server, and we got the response. This is not the postback. Now what generally we do, we fill out the form, and now we send the same request again with data posting on the server. Now this time we will send this data also. Okay, and we are posting this data also on the server for the processing. Now whatever processing depends on the program. So when I click on login, now this request is a postback request. Okay, so sending a request again on the server for the processing. Are you getting it? This is what a postback is. Now many times you would like to define in your, you would like to detect in your program that it is a post back request or a first time request. So what you can do is, there is a property if is post back. Okay, this is property. So if it is true, I am writing just something here. If this is the true, this is a post back request. This is a request, but it is with the date. With this request, the data has been posted for the processing. So there is a, this is the name for it, post back request. Else, first time request. Okay, and I'm just moving these breakpoints. Execute program. Now see, first time request. Okay, so first time when our page loaded, it did not go here, it came here in the else. Okay, because we did not post anything to the server, it was the first time request. Okay, now when we click on login button, then this is the post back request. This request is the post back. Is it clear? So again the server will do the processing and again the page will be loaded. So that is why when I clicked on the button, when I only clicked on the button, you saw the page load event again executed. So I click on the button here. But again the first page load is executed and then the button click is executed. Okay, because again the page is being loaded. Is it clear?
Yes.
Is this term clear? This will be very frequently used. So postback is the process by which the browser is posting information back to the server. Sorry, back to itself. So the page is being loaded. So it is the requesting of the same page again from the server for the processing with the information. Okay. Postback will occur only within web forms which has run at equal to server attribute. Okay, and only server controls can do post back request. So button control is a server control, so it can do a post back request. So clicking of a button, that request is a post back request. Okay, now the entire cycle, we are going to the server, server is processing, coming back. The entire cycle is called round trip. So this entire cycle is a round trip. Now you can see here in the entire thing what is happening here. Start from the first. Here, first time browser does not have anything. Okay, so what browser is doing on the browser, we are typing event test.asp. This is some page. You can see this first. Okay, so this is a get request, which is a first time request. Okay, get request. This is not a post request. Post request, we are posting something to the server. This is, we are just requesting something from the server. We are not posting anything to the server. Okay, so get request goes to the server. Okay, server processes this request. Page load will be called, you can see on the third. Server will generate the HTML and it will be displayed on the browser. Okay. Now browser fills up the form. Enter name or enter author, whatever. Now click on the enter button. Okay. So what will happen? Now this is the post back request. Okay. So it posts back this data to the server. Okay. And request is for the same page, event.asp. The request is for the same page, but this time with the data for processing. Okay, server will again process the event test.aspx. Again page load will be called, and then this enter button click event handler will be called. Okay, sorry, here 10th point, the button click event handler will be called, and then again the response will be generated and will be sent back to the client. Okay, this is what is happening. So this entire cycle is a round trip. Okay, is it clear? Anyone, any question?
Yeah, I have a question. This scenario,
Yeah, we can go ahead.
the scenario what you're shown us is something when we are receiving the same page.
We are requesting the same page.
Yeah, requesting same page. What if like
Yeah.
we get another page? Does also that called as post back?
Yeah, on the another page also, if you are posting some information, there are two ways to request another page. So again, if you are only doing a get request, only requesting a page, another page, so it will be a get request. But from one page, you are posting data to another page, so it will be post back.
Okay.
Okay, if you have two pages in ASP.NET, you have a, right now you have a login page.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a register page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or login, after that you have some page which is accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So from the login page, let's say you need user ID to be sent on that page.
Okay.
So the request will be for another page. I'm just naming it register page, but it is a post back because you are posting data again. User ID you are being posted from login to register page.
Okay.
So it will be a post back.
So, okay, some information which is relevant to the previous page, you mean to say?
Yeah, if you are sending it there. See, if I write another page, register.aspx, nothing will be available to the register.aspx from this. Okay, button login will not be available there, text box will not be available there. Okay, because that will be a different class altogether. Okay, but still there is a functionality that we can send information from one page to another. We'll see it.
Okay.
Okay, but you only request directly register.aspx, so that is get request.
Okay.
Without sending information.
Mm-hmm.
First time if you are requesting for the register page, so that will be get request.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Any question? Okay, we have 10 minutes left and we cannot cover these event types because it will take time. So we'll do it in the next class. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Guys, I'm just wondering if you guys getting it or not, if I am teaching the right way or you want to change something, because I'm not getting much response from you. Do I need to change way of teaching or something? Okay. So Shobana, Anita says it's good. Okay, so we'll just follow this method. Okay guys, so we'll, any other concerns other than the topics, anything else? Okay, so we'll close it off for today. And event types we'll do tomorrow in the next class, which is on Tuesday. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Sandy, I have one question.
Yeah,
Sandy?
sure. Go ahead.
For the web development, I need to download Visual Web Developer 2010 Express or the 12 Express?
You download 10 Express.
Okay.
2010.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay, but I download 12, then I have to make it.
No, I think it should be okay. The only thing is 2012 is very new and I also not worked on it. It will be almost similar. There will be some more features. But if sometime you are getting some problem and maybe I'm not able to solve it because I have not worked on that platform. But it will be okay. If you have already downloaded it, then it's okay.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Sit and wait.
Okay. So see you guys on Tuesday. Thanks everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, Tanvi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The organizer has ended